A single dad boarded a plane with his young son. Passengers mocked him. A woman shouted, "Stay in, coach. You're just trash." No one defended him. Hours later, the plane landed at an Air Force base. F-22 pilots recognized him. Suddenly, dozens of soldiers stood at attention. They saluted him. The world finally understood who he really was. Before you watch, full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The airplane was full of business people in nice suits. They sat in the first class section where everything was fancy. The seats were big and comfortable. The drinks were free. The flight attendants wore uniforms that looked expensive. This was the place for important people. In the back of the airplane, in the coach section, people sat closer together. The seats were smaller. There was less space. This is where most people sat who did not have much money. This is where normal people traveled. Marcus was a single father. He worked hard every day as a mechanic. His hands were always dirty from fixing cars and engines. His clothes had stains on them. His shoes were old and worn out. He had only one son named Tommy. Tommy was 7 years old. They loved each other very much. Marcus and Tommy got on the airplane one morning. They had to fly to another city for Tommy's grandmother's funeral. Tommy's mother had died 2 years before. It was very sad. Now grandmother was dying too. Marcus saved money for a long time to buy these airplane tickets. When they walked down the airplane aisle to find their seats, something bad happened. A woman in a cream-colored jacket was sitting in the first-class area. She was rich. You could tell by her expensive watch and her nice purse. Her name was Victoria. She was texting on her phone and not paying attention to anything else. Tommy had a small toy airplane. It was an F-22 Raptor. The real F-22 is a very fast fighter jet that the United States Air Force uses. Tommy loved this toy very much. He held it carefully as they walked to their seats. Marcus and Tommy sat down in their assigned seats. The seats were in the back of the airplane. They were not as nice as the first-class seats, but they were fine for them. Tommy looked out the window. He wanted to see the airplanes and the sky. Then Victoria got up from her seat. She walked back to where Marcus and Tommy were sitting. She looked at Marcus's old work boots. She looked at his dirty hands. She looked at his worn-out jeans. She looked at Tommy's cheap toy airplane. Her face showed she did not like what she saw. "Excuse me," Victoria said in a mean voice. "What are you doing back here? You should be in the back of the airplane, not near first class." Marcus looked at her and said nothing. He was used to people being rude to him because of his clothes. "That toy is dirty," Victoria said, pointing at Tommy's airplane. "This is not a place for children's toys. This is a serious flight." She reached out and grabbed the toy from Tommy's hand. Tommy was shocked. He did not understand why this woman was being so mean to him. "Stay in, coach, where you belong," Victoria said in a very mean voice. "You and your father are just trash. You do not belong here. You should not be near the first-class section." Then she threw Tommy's toy airplane on the floor. It hit hard. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. He was scared and sad. Marcus did not shout. He did not get angry. He just bent down slowly and picked up the toy airplane. He checked it to make sure it was not broken. Then he put it gently back into Tommy's small hands. "It is okay, buddy," Marcus said softly. "The airplane is still good. Everything is fine." But Tommy was crying. He did not understand why someone was being so mean to them. He did not understand why his father did not get angry. Victoria walked back to her seat. She thought she was better than Marcus because she had money and nice things. She did not know anything about Marcus. She did not know who he was, but she had already decided that he was not good enough to be near her. About 30 minutes into the flight, something happened. A small light came on in the airplane cockpit. The pilots felt that something was wrong with the plane. It was a problem with one of the airplane's important systems. The captain made an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a small problem with one of our systems. We are not in danger, but we want to be safe. We're going to land at an Air Force base nearby. Do not worry. Everything is fine." The airplane started to come down. Marcus felt the change. His body knew something was happening. Tommy got scared. "Daddy, is the airplane going to crash?" Tommy asked. "No, buddy," Marcus said in a calm voice. "But I think we're going to land somewhere we did not plan to land." Marcus knew a lot about airplanes. He knew how they worked. He had studied them for many years. But he did not tell anyone about this. He kept it secret. The airplane landed smooth and easy. The pilots were very good at what they did. The airplane touched down perfectly. There were no problems. Everyone was safe. When the airplane stopped, the captain told everyone they had to wait in a special building. The plane needed to be fixed. They could not fly right away. The passengers got off the airplane. They went into a big building with a very high roof. It was a military hangar. Airplanes were kept here. Through the open doors, you could see many fighter jets sitting outside. Marcus looked out, and his heart stopped. There on the ground, lined up in a perfect row, were F-22 Raptors. These were the most advanced fighter jets in the world. They were beautiful and powerful, gray and sleek and perfect. Marcus had not seen one of these airplanes in 3 years. He thought he would never see one again. He thought that part of his life was finished. When Marcus was younger, he had a different life. He had been in the United States Air Force. He was a fighter pilot. His call sign was Hawk 1. He was the very best pilot. Everyone knew his name. Young pilots studied his flying. Military people knew about him everywhere. His wife's name was Sarah. When Tommy was only 4 years old, Sarah got very sick. The doctors said she was dying. Marcus had a choice to make. He could stay in the Air Force and keep flying, but he would be gone for months at a time. Or he could leave the Air Force and be with his wife and son. Marcus chose his family. He left the Air Force. He stopped flying. He became a mechanic instead. He fixed cars and engines for money. It was honest work. It paid for Tommy's food and his home. Sarah died 14 months later. Marcus was there with her every day. He held her hand. He told her he loved her. When she died, Marcus promised her that he would be a good father to Tommy. He promised that he would not disappear. He promised that he would live a good life. Marcus kept that promise. For 3 years, he worked as a mechanic. He picked Tommy up from school. He cooked dinner for Tommy. He helped Tommy with homework. He went to Tommy's soccer games. He was a good father. No one knew that Marcus had been a famous fighter pilot. No one knew about his past. He wore dirty clothes from working on cars. His hands were always stained with grease. People looked at him and saw only a poor mechanic. They did not see what he had been. They did not see what he had done. Marcus had learned a long time ago that people's opinions did not matter. What mattered was being a good person. What mattered was loving your family. What mattered was doing honest work and doing it well. Marcus stood in the hangar looking out at the F-22 fighter jets. He felt sad and happy at the same time. He missed flying, but he knew he had made the right choice. Suddenly, a young Air Force pilot walked over to Marcus. The pilot's name was Captain James. He was about 25 years old. He had smart eyes and an honest face. "Excuse me, sir," Captain James said. "I heard you talking about airplane engines earlier. I think I heard you say something about hydraulic systems." Marcus looked at the young pilot. "Yes, I said something about that, but I did not want to talk about it." "But sir, I think you might know about the problem with our airplane," Captain James said. "The problem happened with another plane last week. Nobody can figure out what is wrong." Marcus did not want to talk, but the engineering problem was sitting right there in his head. He could not help it. His brain wanted to solve the problem. "It is not the pump," Marcus said quietly. "And it is not the line. It is probably the actuator return circuit. There's a check valve that is sticking. When the airplane flies and gets hot, the valve gets stuck. On the ground, when it is cold, everything tests fine. But in the air, when it is hot, it fails." Captain James's eyes went wide. "How do you know that?" he asked. "Are you a mechanic for the Air Force?" "No," Marcus said. "I work on cars. But I used to know a lot about these airplanes." "Used to know?" Captain James asked. "Sir, that is a very specific answer. You knew the exact problem in about 10 seconds. Marcus did not answer. He did not want to tell his story. Then Tommy came over. Tommy was so excited to see the fighter jets outside. He did not understand what was happening, but he wanted to talk about it. "Daddy," Tommy said, pointing outside. "Those are the real airplanes. Just like my toy. Daddy, did you ever fly one of those?" Captain James looked at Marcus. Marcus looked at Tommy. There was a long silence. "Yes, buddy," Marcus said quietly. "A long time ago, I flew one of those." Captain James made it sound like he could not believe it. "You flew an F-22? He asked. "Sir, what is your name? What was your call sign?" Marcus thought about not answering, but he had promised Tommy that he would never lie to him. He looked at his son's face. He saw the love in Tommy's eyes. He made a decision. "My name is Marcus," he said. "My call sign was Hawk 1. Captain James's face changed. He became very quiet. He stared at Marcus without saying anything. "Hawk 1, Captain James whispered. "You are not. You cannot be." "Hawk 1. I was," Marcus said. "A long time ago." Captain James ran over to two other Air Force people. "Get Major Reyes," he said in a loud voice. "Get him right now. Tell him Hawk 1 is in the hangar." Word spread very fast. People started coming into the hangar. They came from the flight line. They came from offices. They came running. They all wanted to see. They all wanted to know if it was true. An older officer came running into the hangar. His name was Major Reyes. He was about 50 years old. He had been in the Air Force for a long time. When Major Reyes saw Marcus, he stopped running. He just stood there looking at him. Then he started walking toward him. "Carter," Major Reyes said. That was Marcus's last name. "Marcus Carter. My God, I cannot believe it. They told me Hawk 1 was in here, and I did not believe it." "Hello, sir," Marcus said. "Do you know who this man is?" Major Reyes said to everyone in the hangar. "Do you know who is standing in this hangar right now? This is Marcus Carter. This is Hawk 1. He is the greatest fighter pilot the Air Force has ever had." People in the hangar started talking. They looked at Marcus with new eyes. One by one, they began to understand who he was. An old soldier came over. His name was Chief Donnelly. He was a crew chief. He had worked on Marcus's airplane for many years when Marcus was still flying. Chief Donnelly's eyes filled with tears when he saw Marcus. "Major Carter," he said, "it is so good to see you again. I cannot believe you are here." "Hello, Chief," Marcus said. "It is good to see you too." Chief Donnelly straightened up very straight. He stood at attention. Then he raised his right hand to his forehead in a military salute. "It is an honor to see you again, Major," Chief Donnelly said. "Sir." More people began to do the same thing. Captain James stood at attention and saluted. Major Reyes did the same. One by one, Air Force pilots and soldiers came to attention. They raised their right hands to their foreheads. They saluted Marcus Carter. They saluted Hawk 1. Soon there were dozens of people standing at attention. They saluted this man in dirty work clothes. They saluted the mechanic with grease on his hands. They saluted the man they had never seen before, but whose name they knew from stories. Tommy looked up at all the soldiers saluting his father. Tears ran down his face. He was so proud. He looked at his father like he had never seen him before. "Daddy," Tommy said, "they're saluting you. All of them are saluting you." Marcus felt tears in his own eyes. For 3 years, he had been invisible. People had looked past him. People had called him trash. People had judged him without knowing anything about him. Now, in this military hangar, the truth was known. These people understood who he was. These people respected him. These people showed him honor. An older colonel walked into the hangar. His name was Colonel Thomas Briggs. He had been Marcus's commander many years ago. He had retired since then, but he still came to visit the base sometimes. When Colonel Briggs saw Marcus, he walked straight toward him. His eyes were wet with tears. "Marcus," Colonel Briggs said. "My God, Marcus Carter, I have been looking for you for 3 years. I did not know where you went. You just disappeared." "I had to disappear, sir," Marcus said. "My wife was dying. I had to choose between the Air Force and my family. I chose my family." Colonel Briggs looked at Tommy. He looked at Marcus. He understood completely. "You made the right choice," Colonel Briggs said. "You know that, do you not?" "Yes, sir," Marcus said. "I know I did." Colonel Briggs crouched down to Tommy's level. "Tommy, do you know who your father is?" Colonel Briggs asked. "He is my daddy," Tommy said. "He fixes cars. He picks me up from school. He makes me dinner. He loves me." "That is exactly right," Colonel Briggs said. "And a long time ago, your daddy was something else too. He was a fighter pilot. He was the very best pilot in the entire United States Air Force. But he stopped flying because he wanted to be your father more." Tommy looked at his father like he had never seen him before. But Tommy already knew this was true. Tommy's father had told him on the airplane. Tommy was proud. "Your daddy gave up something he loved very much," Colonel Briggs said. "He gave it up for you. That takes more courage than flying any airplane. That makes your daddy a real hero." The passengers from the airplane were watching all of this from far away. They stood at the edge of the hangar. They watched everything. They saw the pilots saluting. They saw the respect. They saw the truth. Victoria was there too. She was standing with the other passengers. She had seen everything. She had heard the truth. She understood now that she had been completely wrong about Marcus. Victoria's face was red with shame. She felt terrible. She had been so mean to a man she did not know at all. Victoria walked over to Marcus slowly. She was scared. She did not know what to say. "I'm so sorry," Victoria said. Her voice shook. "I called you trash. I was cruel to your son. I did not know who you were. But that is not an excuse. I should not have judged you. I was wrong." Marcus looked at her without anger. He was not angry at all. "You do not owe me an apology," Marcus said. "But I'm glad you understand something." "What is that?" Victoria asked. "A person's worth does not come from their clothes or their money," Marcus said. "A person's worth comes from their character. A person's worth comes from how they treat other people. A person's worth comes from what they are willing to do for love." Tommy walked over to Victoria. He was 7 years old, but he was very wise. "Were you having a bad day?" Tommy asked. "My daddy said sometimes people have bad days and they say mean things they do not really mean. Like when I told my friend Marcus I hated him, but I did not mean it." Victoria could not speak. She cried. A 7-year-old boy had just taught her something she should have learned a long time ago. Marcus put his hand on Victoria's shoulder. "You could do better next time," he said. "That is all any of us can do. We can be better tomorrow than we were today." The airplane was fixed. A new airplane came to pick up the passengers. Marcus and Tommy got on the new airplane. This time, as they walked down the aisle, something different happened. One by one, the passengers stood up. They thanked Marcus for his service. They said they were sorry for how they had treated him. They had learned a lesson. They understood now that you cannot judge someone by how they look. Victoria was on the new airplane too. She came over to Marcus before the airplane took off. "I have an offer for you," Victoria said. "I run a big company. I need someone to manage my mechanic shop. It pays 3 times what you make now. You can have any schedule you want. I want to hire you because of who you are, not because of your clothes." Marcus thought about it. He looked at Tommy. He made a decision. "Yes," Marcus said. "I will take the job, but only if I can work around Tommy's school schedule. Only if I can pick him up every day. Only if Tommy comes first." "That is exactly the deal," Victoria said. "Tommy always comes first." As the airplane took off, Tommy sat by the window. He looked at the clouds. He looked at the sky. "Daddy," Tommy said, "why did those people salute you?" "Because of something I did a long time ago," Marcus said. "But that is not important anymore." "What is important?" Tommy asked. "What is important," Marcus said, "is that I am here with you. That I get to pick you up from school. That I get to be your father. That is the most important thing in the world." Tommy held his toy F-22 airplane. He looked up at his father with so much love. "I am proud of you, Daddy," Tommy said. Marcus smiled. His eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears. Happy tears. "I am proud of you too, buddy," Marcus said. "I'm so proud of who you are." A man's real worth is not in his clothes. It is not in his money. It is not in what he has done in the past. A man's real worth is in how he treats people. A man's real worth is in what he is willing to give up for people he loves. Marcus had given up the sky. He had given up being famous. He had given up medals and honor and respect from the military. He had given all of that up to be a father to his son. And in the end, everyone understood that this made him more of a hero than any airplane ever could. This made him more of a hero than any battle he had ever won. When you see someone in dirty clothes or worn-out shoes, do not decide who they are. You do not know their story. You do not know their worth. You do not know what they have done or what they have given up. The only way to know someone's real worth is to look at their heart. The only way to know someone's real worth is to see how they treat people. The only way to know someone's real worth is to understand that everyone is somebody important. Marcus Carter learned this lesson. Victoria learned this lesson. Tommy's lesson was even more important. He learned that his father was a hero long before he ever knew about the airplanes. And that is the most important lesson of all.